Namaskar students. Today we are going to again start off with another chapter of class 8, and I'm going to start off the chapter with a note that you would have to guess which chapter I'm going to start. Okay. So in front of you, you can see that there's a picture in front, right? See it very carefully, and I'm going to just sing one line of a very famous Bollywood movie. Okay. And you think about it. So it's like अमर अकबर एंटनी और हम भाई हैं. तो अब बताओ, which chapter you think we're going to start off today? Looking at the picture, thinking of that Bollywood movie which I gave a reference to. Okay, so we're going to start off with chapter number 2, right? Which is understanding secularism. So when we are going to study this chapter, we're going to see the history of secularism in India. We'll talk about the introduction, where we'll see the meaning of secularism. We'll see the importance of separating the religion from the state. Then we'll go on to the difference between India and US with regards to religion, and the difference between India and France with regards to religion. Okay, so you saw this kite figure over here, that the different kites over here are representing the different religion which we see in India, right? And we are all one, right? There's no difference between us. Okay, given that, I'll show you another figure over here. So you can see the different symbols for different religion. And here it says the freedom of religion. The First Amendment gives us the right to pick our own religion. If you can recall your chapter 1, remember your fundamental rights, where we talked about the 3 P's: profess, propagate, and think the other one. I'm not going to tell you. Recall. And that's where we're talking about religion. Okay. And the very concept of secularism is based on the word religion. Okay. Now we'll come down to the history of secularism. So what happened was, secularism is not very new to us. Okay. The concept of secularism was there even in our historical times. You must have read in your historical chapters that the emperors, they used to differentiate between the different religion at that point of time, and it was first given up by Emperor Ashoka, that he announced even in that early 3rd century BC that the state would not prosecute any religious sect, right? And he made that very clear in his rock edict. Okay. Where he said that he made an appeal to the people for tolerance of all religion, but also to develop a spirit of great respect towards them, right? So he believed in having secularism, and he wanted to preach that and spread that feeling of secularism to all his people. And that is what we also cherish as an Indian, and we want that landmark to be there for us, and we want to build up on that point, right? So even after the advent of Jainism, Buddhism, and later Islam and Christianity into the Indian soil, the quest for religious tolerance and coexistence of different faiths continue, right? So we are always striving to bring everyone together, whether it's the Jains, the Buddhists, Islam, the Christianity. We're trying to bring all the religion together under one roof. Okay, given that, let's get down to my introduction here. Now, these acts of discrimination take place more easily when one religion is given official recognition by the state at the expense of other religion. Clearly, no one would wish to be discriminated against because of their religion, nor dominated by any other religion. And in India, can the state discriminate against citizens on the grounds of the religion? You've got to think about that. So, we are talking here about the facts that um, when you suppose imagine yourself as a Hindu or a Muslim, and you are say living in a part of the United States of America where Christianism is fundamentally powerful over there, right? And despite being an US citizen, there are situations in which no one is willing to rent their house to you because you are not a Christian, right? So won't that make you feel resentful, right? Won't you feel left out from the entire society and feel marginalized, being discriminated, right? And you'll feel more anxious about it. So that is where this anger could become a big problem for you, right? That you can start to retaliate against it, or you may take the same view for the others, okay? Or you might tend to create try to change the mindset of these people who are trying to discriminate you, right? So now that depends upon person to person, but the country as a whole should not be practicing such kinds of discrimination in the society. We cannot exclude or persecute people on the grounds of religion, right? You can think of Hitler's Germany. Many Jews were persecuted over there, right? And millions were being killed over there. Even in Saudi Arabia, what happens is that the non-Muslims are not allowed to build a temple, church, or any kind of public place for prayers, right? They are so critical about it. But do you see such things happening in India? To an extent, no, like not at this level, because we have the feature of secularism in our Indian constitution. You can look at the picture over here. See, you have Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Islam, Christianity, and you'll see the common word over here comes out to be Indian, which is representing that we all are together, we all are united, even if we belong to different religion. And we do not have any majority or minority over here. Like in numbers, we can have a minority. We definitely have minorities. Christians, Sikh, Muslims, they're all minority. But then the majority should not be dominating the minority group, right? And the question that I had left you is that in India, can the state discriminate against citizens on the ground of the religion? Do you think so? Should the state come and interfere between what religion you should choose, what practices you should follow? Is that so? Is that what equality would mean to you? Is that what freedom would mean to you? Not, right? So that is why we're going to talk about the concept of secularism. So the Indian constitution allows individuals the freedom to live by their religious beliefs and practices as they interpret these. In keeping with this idea of religious freedom for all, India also adopted a strategy of separating the power of religion and the power of the state. Secularism refers to this separation of religion from the state. So the key definition that we're going to look forward over here of secularism is that there is separation of religion from the state. The state will not interfere in the matter of religion, right? So basically, it is the separation of religion from the state, right? That's clear to you? And we have the freedom to live by our religious belief. Whatever we think is the correct religion for us, we can follow that. We can follow the practices and we can interpret it in our own way. So like if you think one practice of keeping a fast on Navratras, so you can take it up, right? If you think it's not good for you, don't take it up, right? That's how we are trying to interpret the different practices that we have in our religion. Okay, given that, why is it important to separate the religion from the state, right? Secularism means it stands with the basic and fundamental thing that the state has to be separate from the religion. There are two different uh, entities over here. They should not mingle together, okay? Now why is it necessary that I should keep the state different and the religion to be at a different pace? So the most important aspect of secularism is its separation of religion from the state power. This is important for a country to function democratically, right? The first reason is, number one, that we are a democracy. We should not have a tyranny of majority. And what will happen if a majority is coming up? They will tend to discriminate the minority community, say the religious minority community in this case, and there would be violation of our basic fundamental rights. Is that fine for all the citizens who are being discriminated like this? Definitely not. There has to be equality, there has to be freedom given, because those fundamental rights are not for a particular segment of people, it is for the entire nation. So almost all countries of the world will have more than one religious group living in them. Within these religious groups, there will most likely be one group that is in majority. For example, in India, you can say the Hindus are in a majority. If this majority religious group has access to state power, that is, they form the government, that you have only Hindus forming the government, okay, then it could easily use this power and financial resources to discriminate against and persecute the persons of other religion. Right? This is the same thing that I just repeated right now, that there would be tyranny of majority. People will violate the fundamental rights, they will not respect them. And what would happen is that it would uh, not allow the freedom to all the individuals, right? Now, what do the individuals need? They need the freedom to exit from any religion at any point of time that you feel like, okay. They also need the freedom that they should be able to embrace other religion. So suppose you are a Hindu and you want to turn into a Christian, you should be given that freedom to do that, right? Why not? If you feel that the practices of Christianity attract you more and you feel that there is a reason behind it, you might like that religion, the religious practices probably, and you would like to follow that. So there has to be a way in your freedom has to be given the utmost importance, and the state should not be interfering into your matter. And thirdly, we also need the freedom to embrace other religion, and we need to have the freedom to interpret the religious teachings differently, okay. So you might feel some one of the religious practices is not right, whereas the other might take it in some other way. Okay, suppose I say, it's personal, okay, so I feel that okay, fasting does not hold any relevance to me, okay, but if I say that fasting is good in a way that I am able to maintain my digestive system is, kept upkept with that procedure, then that's good for me. So I am interpreting my religious belief in a different way. You might say that you like to do fasting, or your parents like to do the fasting because they have their religious belief towards God and they want to showcase that. So that's completely acceptable. There should not be any barriers for any person to interfere into someone else's religious belief, right? So that is how we have to understand that we need to separate the concept of state from that of the religion. Okay, now here is a pie chart in front of you. So you have to think mathematically over here, okay? You see this entire circle 360-degree where we are talking about all the citizens of India, okay, and we have the different colors over here, so you should know how to read a pie chart, okay. The gray one, the shaded area over here, shows 81% for the Hindus, so you can see who has the majority in India, the Hindus. Then we talk about the red one, little less in than the majority, 13%, and this is the category of the Muslims, right? Then we have 2%, this grayish area, the light gray area of the Christian, again the second minority group, I would say, the second majority group, sorry. And equivalent is the percentage of the Sikh, and then we have 1% each of the Buddhist and the other groups. So from this pie chart, are you able to understand which is the majority group in India, majority religious group? That's the Hindus. And if I ask you, would you consider Muslims as a minority or as a majority group? Your answer would probably be as a minority group as compared to the Hindus, right? 13% is very less as compared to 81%. Now, what would happen if there is no separation of religion from the state, and suppose the state would consist of the entire power going to the Hindu? Okay, what would happen in that scenario? You would tend to have tyranny of majority, number one. Number two, there could be violation of fundamental rights. Thirdly, there could be no freedom given to individual with respect to the three things that we talked about: to exit from a religion, to embrace another religion, and to interpret the religious teachings differently. Okay, so that is how you should be able to understand the pie chart and frame your answers. Okay, right. So let's go on to the uh, captions. So in India, if the state power will be in the hand of Hindus, then the other religion will be discriminated, right? Just like I explained you right now. That is why the important aspect of our constitution is separation of religion from the state. But the state can intervene in religious affairs for the betterment of the society. So if at all. The state feels. State here refers to the country as a whole, okay? It is the government. So the government, if it feels that something is going wrong in the society which needs to be amended, it will have to step in, right? So there are some boundaries under which the state is acting, right? It will not interfere into any all the matters of the religion, but when required for the welfare of the entire nation, it will definitely have to put in its step. So we have an example of how the state intervenes. Untouchability in Hindu religion was there, it was prevalent, right? And then we had to enforce Article 17, which said that untouchability is abolished and its practice in any form is forbidden. And anybody doing that would be actually punishable by the law, right? So untouchability was such a heinous crime which the government had to step in to destroy it, right? And that's how we had to put in the Civil Rights Act, and we had to prescribe a new amendment into our article, right? Next, equal inheritance rights. Remember earlier what used to happen is that the property was not divided equally between the girls and the boys of the family, like the heir, next one. So then we got the equal inheritance right now, that we have the girls also have an equal right to the distribution of the property, right? So the Indian constitution grants the rights to religious minorities to set up their own schools and colleges. Remember the cultural and the constitutional rights, right? According to which the minorities can establish their own institution and they can develop their own culture, their scripts. They can help the people to understand that and help them grow with that. So these are the way in which the government intervenes in the matter of religious affair, but then it's only for the welfare of all. So now I leave you behind with a quick mind map to recall what is secularism, okay, and why is it important to separate the religion from the state. So I hope you were able to understand the crux of the chapter. Thank you.